Well, good morning. Welcome to New Thought Unity Center on this lovely Sunday morning. My name is David Kaiser, and I am music director here. And we have a wonderful celebration this morning, celebrating the life and legacy of Jack Barker. And we're going to do things old school today. As you see, the piano is front and center, and we'll start the way we started back when Jack was here.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for all of us. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all of us. And there's quite enough hope and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room.
Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Melt the clouds of sorrow and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. River of immortal gladness, fill us with the
be seated. Well, good morning. Today is a very special day at the New Thought Unity Center. We're celebrating the life of Reverend Jack Barker, and we're honoring Reverend Pat Barker. We're privileged to have some special guests with us this morning down here in the front row. Jack's daughter Amy, her son-in-law Dominic. It's a special day for me too. And their children, Camden and Alana, and we're really blessed and glad that you folks are here. Jack and Pat served as our ministers here for 29 and a half years. And we were expecting Pat Barker this morning. Unfortunately, she's a bit under the weather and couldn't make the trip, but we want to acknowledge her. And where is Kim? We want to make a special presentation in her honor. We had hoped that we'd be presenting these to Pat herself, but she couldn't make it this morning. We're going to give those flyers to Amy. Thank you. And let's just be appreciative of the Barker family and what Pat and Jack meant to us. Pat and Jack blessed us for years, 29 and a half years. And they literally blessed thousands and thousands of people. And for that gift that they gave to us, truly, we are grateful. And so as we begin this time of celebration, as they always did, and we're going to do today, let's begin with prayer. Our loving God, this morning we acknowledge your presence of love and joy that is within us and all around us. Today is a special day of celebration, a day to open our hearts and allow the love and joy within to express through our words. Today is a day to appreciate the good that this center had offered us through the love and leadership of Jack and Pat Barker. Through their messages and guidance, they created a community that supported us and truly blessed us in countless ways. So for the good that they manifested at this center and for the good that is everywhere present, truly we are blessed, and we say thank you and amen.
And so, as it is our custom here, it's time to, and by the way, I see so many faces that I haven't seen in a long time. It's time to stand and greet one another with a handshake or a hug this morning, our spiritual family. Two, three, and four. I feel a good vibration, healing and transformation all through this congregation. Must be unity, the experience is our mission. Universal oneness is We invite you to have a seat again as we proceed on. Um, but no fear, there will be plenty of fellowship. There's a reception afterwards today, and so as we see faces we haven't seen in a while, there will be time to catch up then as well. I do want to welcome anyone and everyone that's on the Facebook Live feed this morning. We are being, by the miracle of the interweb, being transported to all across the world, all across the country. And anyone that's tuned in, will you let us know who you are and where you're listening and what you love about the celebration, and we can recognize that later on. There's a lot going on around the center, and thankfully things are opening up. For all details, you can look at the website, the email blast, or the Facebook event page. But I just wanted to highlight a few things that are going on. Pledge cards. If you've not already done so, please consider participating in our pledge program to raise funds to support Kim Ballou as our part-time spiritual leader. Pledge cards are available in the back of the sanctuary. We complete the cards and return them to any board member or place them in one of the prayer boxes. And so Kim is already serving the center in a great capacity, and we would love to have her focus all of her attention here as our spiritual leader. Galleria of Gift Grace Shop. Now, where the old library used to be, the library is still there, but they're wonderful things, wonderful items, many of them handmade and unique, and so that's open today until 1 o'clock. Angel's Wings Retail Shop, final days, and I have 4 exclamation points. How do I do that? Let me say, final days! 50% off sale extended today. Toys, puzzles, games, tablecloths, napkins, and placements. If you need a placement, it's probably over there. All right, Friday 10 to 2, Saturdays 10 to 4, and Sundays noon to 3. New members class, Learn the Unity Way at its new members class via Zoom Saturday, April 30th and May the 7th, 9 to noon. And Regina Steinley is going to be conducting that class. You can contact the center for more details, and that's on a love offering basis. Just 2 more, and we'll get on with this wonderful celebration. Restore and Balance with Angels Workshop. Brecca Burton returns to the New Thought Unity Center on Saturday, April the 30th from 10 until 2, and Brecca will provide angelic blessings. Who could use one of those? Me, yes. Use of drumming to facilitate the wellness of the body, mind, and spirit. $45 class fee. And the reception afterwards, celebrating the life and legacy of Jack Barker. Join us in Friendship Hall. We have some refreshments down there, and open into the Barker Meditation Garden, which was, Jack always used to quip. He says, "It's not the Barker Memorial Garden, I'm not dead yet," And so it was just wonderful. So it's still the meditation garden, and we can go and remember him. Literally, we wouldn't be here without all that we're standing on the shoulders of both Pat and Jack with all of these things. So let's remember him downstairs. And just another note, many of you have ties on that you received. Who has a tie that they received December 11th at that wonderful celebration? So Amy brought the rest of the ties. You're probably not going to get a way unique one, but they're right on a table back there. And that's near our newcomers and welcome table as well. So Jack's ties are there. If the ties that bind, if you want one of Jack Barker's ties, you can take it home with you today, and you can select one there. I want to welcome everyone. Maybe some of you are here for the very first time. If you are, welcome. We want you to know that wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you're welcome here. If there's ever been a place where you felt unwelcome, that's not this place. You're welcome just as you are. And we proceed from there hand in hand on this wonderful spiritual journey. And if you are new, there is back in the same corner is a newcomers table. And Regina, where are you, Regina? She's going to be there back there. There she is. if you have any questions about the center, and there's a little gift we would like to give you if your very, very first time here. So, some of the things that are going on around the center today. And as is our custom, we now prepare for silent meditation. And it's my honor and pleasure to welcome back to this keyboard Carl Payne, our music director for many, many years, to play for us.
In the silence, there is a sacred place, a sacred meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends. Good is there. In the light, now you'll find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
So there's so many feelings swirling around. Let's take a few moments now to just let all of that settle. We take a few minutes to relax and remember God and goodness, all of the goodness that we have experienced here in this sanctuary. We begin by focusing on our breath. Maybe we even take a sigh. And with gentleness, we ask our bodies and minds to relax. Just for now, we make a decision to let go of all concerns in the foreground and in the background of our lives. For our precious time of meditation, we make a blanket statement to let it all go. If you've been thinking about letting something go, now's the time. And just let our attention be riveted on goodness. We choose stillness, serenity, and peace now. And we listen. We cherish the memories of those we hold dear. We remember family, friends, co-workers, and everyone who has made a mark upon our lives and blessed us with their wisdom and guidance. Their words and deeds provide comfort, inspiration, and direction. We emulate them by living with integrity, faith, respect, and love-filled action so that we too make a beneficial difference in the lives of others. Today, our hearts hold a litany of gratitudes for our unity heritage, especially for our time with Jack and Pat Barker, for beautiful, inspiring Sunday services, classes, and community filled to overflowing with friendship and activities where our hearts could soar. We remember, honor, and are grateful for our unity experience because it is the solid foundation on which we can base our next decision. Our hearts rest in so much gratitude for a moment in the silence. We studied and memorized unity principles and philosophy until we could find our way home in the dark. Today, the light of unity continues to shine for us and through us. Listen to the word unity. We, everyone and everything, are connected in some mysterious and wonderful way. When we really get that, what I do to you and all life everywhere, I do to myself. When we get that, we can respond to life in healthy, life-giving ways. We have the knowledge and heart to do just that. We are ever grateful for our spiritual heritage, for Jack and Pat Barker for leading the way, guiding us, and walking with us on this path of unity. Amen.
Our God,
which art in heaven,
lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from temptation. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory
So we're here to remember Jack and to acknowledge Pat. As congregants and friends, today is a day to remember that love is the bond that ties us together. And I happen to be one of the fortunate ones that has on a Jack Barker tie. And as David has reminded us, there's a table full of ties back there if you'd like to take home a memory. And if you go to the reception downstairs, feel free to wear it down there just to honor and bring to mind all those wonderful times that Pat and Jack gave to us. Years ago, a friend of mine invited me to a church. She'd heard that there was a church in Cincinnati that was a little different. To which I responded, "I'm sorry, I don't do church." Well, I went anyway. And when I got home, Nancy asked me, "Well, how was it?" And I said, "Well, I'm not quite sure what the minister said, but I love the way he said it." And so Nancy joined me the following week, and we stayed for 35 years. Along the way, I began taking classes, and I was taking classes, some at Unity Village. And one day I was summoned to the administrator's desk, and she said, "George, if you don't complete this class, you're not going to be able to graduate as a licensed teacher." To which I said, "I'm going to be a licensed teacher?" Yeah. I just enjoyed taking the classes. And she said, "Well, your ministers could offer that class back at your church, and if you participated in that, then you'd qualify and you'd graduate." I said, "Wow." I don't know if she knew how busy Pat and Jack were, but to tutor George in a private class didn't seem quite possible because they were always busy. And so I came back and explained my dilemma to Pat and Jack, and they agreed. And they got a few other people to participate. Some of them are in the room today. And we held that class during lunch. It was the only time available. One of the fond memories I have about Jack is if you'd ask him, "Well, how are you?" he would always say, "I'm fine, and so are you." It's a typical Jack Barker response. Jack's attire was a suit. I don't know if you've noticed, but I never saw him at this center without wearing his suit. I used to say, if you were to wake up Jack in the middle of the night and throw back the covers, he'd still be wearing his suit. It's the only way I knew him, with the exception of the annual Unity Summer Picnic. Now, during that picnic, maybe it would be fair to say that Jack dressed not the way I was accustomed to seeing him. He was in usually some loud shirts and shorts, and especially the most outlandish socks I'd ever seen. That was his typical summer attire. I think Nancy might have a few words to share about Jack and Pat.
There is nothing but joy in my heart being here today and seeing your faces and my whole time at Unity. Just joy overflowing. When I look back over my life so far, I'll put it that way, I see that I have about 6 major highlights. And one of them is my Unity experience with Jack and Pat Barker. And I just want to say a few things. As soon as George mentioned the suit, I thought immediately of the socks. He'd wear these long socks up to his knees. It was just a lot of fun. And we all laugh about it, and he would too. So, but anyway, one of the things that I remember about Jack was that he could fix just about anything. And I remember one time he helped me fix a broken heart. And one time, or many times, there would be the lesson or a class that I was going to, and he would say just the right thing. He didn't know what I was, concerned about, but it was just the right thing to fix whatever was going on, or to help me fix that in my life. And then he would go down in the basement and fix the boiler so we could have heat on Sunday. It was just amazing. It was like a special knack of his. And I want to just say something about Pat, too, because Pat, they are a team. They're here with us today, even if they're not here in person. They're a team, and they're with us. And Pat, the thing that I've noticed the most about her lately is that she lives by the Unity principles. She lives the truth that she knows, and it's such a good example for me. So even today, they're both touching my lives in wondrous ways, and I feel so blessed to be here together again. So thank you.
Reverend Greg Wisman was unable to be here today, but he did send some thoughts that I want to share with you. Greg says, "While I can't be with you in person today, I was graciously asked by George to say a few words for this service of remembrance and appreciation. I've always tried to live my life with the thought in mind that in all things, give thanks. And so my thoughts of thanks, of gratitude, and heartfelt appreciation go out to Jack and Pat Barker. I've known both of them for as long as I've been involved in Unity, going back for at least 50 years, and have been a part of many of the stories and remembrances of the New Thought Unity Center over the years, and there are so many memories that would fill many pages. Attached to all those memories are feelings of profound thoughtfulness and thankfulness. Thank you, Jack and Pat, for your care and loving from the first time I met you and all through the journey that I've been on. You both were shining examples of gentle guidance and support for the times I celebrated and times I grieved. I have been forever blessed and will continue to hold Jack in the heartfelt embrace of thoughtfulness on his passing. My love and gratitude for you, Pat, for your grace and compassion, and I thank you for all that you have shown and blessed me with. You've left a mark of loving kindness upon so many in this world, and I am appreciative that I have been part of your caring heart. Love and blessings, Greg Wisman." And now we have some people who are going to share, and Frida Hughes, I think, is first up today. Frida, where are you? If she wants to. Frida, you want to come up here? Or?
Oh my goodness, look at all those people I haven't seen in so long. Oh, it's wonderful to see everyone here. Oh, yes, I need to get in front of the mic, don't I? Goodness. Oh, boy. Growing up in a family who attended a traditional missionary Baptist church where the ministers talked about sin, when a friend gave me a daily word, I became interested in going to a Unity church. When I looked in the phone book, I discovered the New Thought Unity Center was not far from where I was living. Yes, we used big, thick phone books in 1969. At that time, Reverend Jack Barker was the only minister, and his wife, Pat Barker, would lead the meditation. Reverend Jack's Sunday morning lessons were so positive and uplifting, I decided I didn't want to miss hearing him speak every Sunday. He saved all of his lessons, and they were kept in boxes in a room in the lower level. I really, really wish that we had saved them. Jack Barker was an extremely inspirational speaker. Thank you.
Kay leads. Here comes Kay. Kay, would you prefer to be down here? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see faces that I haven't seen for years. My remembrances of Jack are more of him as the wonderful teacher that he was. No one has ever touched, what he did. The only personal thing that I can remember right offhand was when I decided back in 1982 to start coming to church here. And I got really involved. I was here every Sunday and every Wednesday. And then it came time for the new membership. And so I thought, well, that's great. This is my big chance now, to really become a member of this church. And so at the same time, I was offered a part-time job on Saturday mornings, which conflicted, with the chance to take the classes. So I really pondered about this, what I was going to do. And so finally I went to Jack and I said, Jack, I really want to join this church, but I can't come on Saturdays. And he just kind of waved it off. He said, that's all right. He said, I've got a couple of books here that you can read. He said, just read those. You can be installed as a new member with the rest of the people. And I just thought that was the greatest, most, kindest thing to me at that time. So that's my remembrance, my personal remembrance of Jack. But like I said, he was a great, great spiritual teacher.
Bob Arlinghouse.
Thank you. A watershed moment is defined as a divide after which things are never the same. First watershed moment for Bob and Martha Arlinghouse, April 30th, 1958, our first date. Things would never be the same. 13 months later, we were married. But there were those up front who said, you can't marry her. She's not Catholic. Well, yes, I can. And so for 17 years, we went to separate churches. She would go to Presbyterian church, I go to Catholic church. And sometimes I went with her, sometimes she went with me. We worked things out. Religion was never a problem. And then in 1976, we decided, let's look around, let's see if we can find something that's mutually acceptable. Martha was in a group of ladies one afternoon, and they were talking about churches and religion, and one lady said, have you ever heard of unity? No, none of them heard of unity. But Martha was intrigued enough by what the woman said that she came home and said, we ought to look at this church. So we took a look at unity. And I know the first time that I came, I sat in the back over there about 4 or 5 years through from the rear, strategically located, just in case I need a fast getaway. I didn't know what to expect. But I listened to Reverend Pat give a meditation and Reverend Jack give a talk. And when he was finished, and Martha also agreed, this is where we belong. This is it. This is our new spiritual home. And we're here every Sunday. We took all the classes. We were unitized. We went on spiritual retreats with Jack and Pat. We went on several vacation trips to Europe with them. It was part of our DNA after that. Flash forward to 1992, another watershed moment. I had been working at Procter & Gamble for almost 31 years, and I really loved it there. I had a nice career, but in June of 1992, I found myself in a position I didn't belong. I needed to retire. And so I start crunching numbers. Is there going to be enough money? What if? And here, after 16 years of sitting at the feet of the masters and listening to all the unity principles, I still had these doubts. And so I came home one June afternoon, and Martha said, I got a call from Reverend Pat. They would like to know if we would co-facilitate a seminar with them. Okay, we're going to co-facilitate with the masters. And I said, what's it all about? And she said, prosperity. A lot of people didn't notice, but I walked around for a long time with a dent in my head where I got hit with a 2x4. And the message was trust and proceed in confidence. And so I went in the next day and I told my boss I'm retiring December 31st. So since June of 1992, it's almost 30 years, and we're going strong. The seminar that we co-facilitated, well, we co-facilitated for 3 weeks with Jack and Pat. And then Pat had to have a knee operation. So Jack said, take over, you're in charge. 135 people downstairs, and we're in charge. But the lesson, trust and proceed in confidence. And so we did. And under the tutelage of Jack and Pat, we facilitated that seminar. Matter of fact, we did it for 11 years, somewhere between 20 and 25 times. We grew spiritually all through all our time here at Unity, and in all our thanks to Jack and Pat. We were so very well blessed by them, like many of you and many of the thousands who passed through here. So to Jack, Reverend Jack, and Reverend Pat, thank you, thank you.
Regina Steinley.
So some people have a wing person. This is my wing person, because I need my glasses. My tribute to Jack Barker. Jack Barker was more than a minister to me. My spiritual journey began here at Unity 26 years ago. I remember it was a cold January day. I had finally decided to attend a Sunday service. My friend, Lee Catcham, had invited me several different times, but I was always polite and said, no thanks. But that Sunday, something pushed me through the doors of New Thought Unity. Literally, there was such a strong wind pushing me on. I was raised Catholic, so I was in culture shock. Jack and Pat Barker appeared larger than life to me. 2 ministers, wow. Jack spoke that Sunday. I have to admit, I did not understand much of what he said, but I had a sense of peace, a sense of coming home to a spiritual way of living. Jack always challenged my way of thinking. It took me a while to get it. You know, New Thought Unity is about new thought. Jack really opened my mind to metaphysical thinking. Many lessons were difficult to grasp. Jack sure did spur me on and on and on. His sense of humor kept me in check. Then one Sunday, Jack spoke about him stepping down as the minister. I remember after the service that particular Sunday, there was a buzz in Fellowship Hall. That's what it was called back then. Did they say stepping down? So, Jack was so much more than a minister. He was a father figure for so many people. He showed us how to serve his community. He lived what he taught, and I am so grateful I had the opportunity to be a part of the life of Jack Barker. Thanks, Jack.
Well, we see the person approaching the piano, our longtime music director, Carl Payne, once again. Thank you, Carl.
I grew up in the Presbyterian Church in Clifton and spent a year at a Lutheran university out west, and decided after that that I was done with church. So I lived in other parts of the country and didn't go into church. And I came back here and I thought, well, I'm going to have to earn money somehow besides teaching piano. So I asked a friend of mine who was a graduate organ major at CCM if she would teach me. And she said, well, I'm not teaching right now, but I have a friend. He's the organist over at Unity Church. I said, okay. And she said, now he's gay, but he's very professional. And I said, that's all right. And she was a pretty straight line Baptist from Texas. And she said, now that church is a little strange. They talk about Father, Mother, God all the time. And I said, well, that's all right too. So I took lessons from him and I got to know Pat and Jack and some of the other people here. And I thought, well, I need to come to a service and see what this is about. So I did. And some years later, I told Pat and Jack, you know, that was probably the first service I ever went to where I wasn't fighting the urge to fall asleep during the sermon, which they called the lesson. So I thought that was significant. So I finally, after a few years, I joined, and they wanted me to play for them. So that was wonderful. I enjoyed all the years I was here.
Thank you, Carl. A lot of fond memories with that tune. Now we'll hear from Mary Casaba and Minnie Mehurin.
Well, second to my parents, Pat and Jack Barker are two of the most influential people that that's in my life. And my mom and my dad and my grandmother walked me through these doors when I was 9, and I never left. And that was 52 years ago, so I'm grateful. I've been on the board in the YOU. Greg Wisman, he was my YOU sponsor, and I really appreciate all that I've learned. I know that Jack and Pat have demonstrated the divine masculine, the divine feminine. They've mentored me, they've counseled me, they've married me, they consoled me through my divorce. Highs and lows of everything. They've laid my grandmother to rest, my father to rest. And I remember that they went on a conference and they said, Mary, would you hang out with Amy? She's 16, maybe you can teach her to drive. I said, oh yeah, we'll have lots of fun while you're gone for a week. So I have that fun memory of hanging out the window when she was learning to use the stick shift. One of my fondest memories of Jack and Pat in general is Christmas in July. And every Sunday closest to July 25th, we would have Christmas in July. And we would decorate the whole fanfare of trees and sing Christmas songs, and we would celebrate the Christ in us, reborn anew. And so I celebrate the Christ in all of us, and they've helped me maintain that centeredness, and they have demonstrated that centeredness. So the Christ in me greets the Christ in you. And I know that Jack is returned to spirit form from where we've each come. And I'd rather have him here, but I know that he is with each of us. And I'm so grateful that we all have earth suits still. And those of us that are still here doing our divine purpose, I celebrate that we have learned from Jack and Pat and Watershed. As Bob said, that's a Jack and Pat experience for me. And, you know, they say, what would Jesus do? I used to say, well, what would Jack and Pat do? And I do that as best I can.
Thank you. For those of you who may not know me, either in the sanctuary or online, I am Minnie Mehurin. In 1974, Jack Barker recruited me and employed me as his administrative assistant, a position similar to the one Terry Armstrong now holds, but without a lot of the technology. I think Frida referred to words to live by. All of those words to live by were probably typed by me on a typewriter and copied with the help of a mimeograph. As Nancy referred to, Jack was a hands-on minister. He saved the center a lot of money by repairing the boiler frequently by himself. He was a very compassionate counselor. I am very grateful for his friendship. I still am grateful for Pat's friendship. Our families interacted with spiritual times, with fun times, such as the picnics, and breaking bread together. You'll notice that I am wearing a tie, which depicts Saturn. It was Jack's tie. It's especially meaningful to me because Saturn is my favorite planet, and I am past treasurer of an auxiliary group from the Cincinnati Observatory. Pat, bless you. Bless Amy and the rest of her family. Jack, bless your soul and its ongoing, eternal unfoldment.
Betty Cargill.
All I can say is Jack Barker was solid. And he was just so compassionate and so loving and funny. He was really funny. So I was working at Cincinnati Millicron, and I had a sinus infection, so I was told to go to the medical department, and I went there, and Bill Jones, Dr. Bill Jones was the physician. I don't know if any of you remember him or not, but he said, you know, I think it would be really good if you learned yoga. You need to practice yoga, and that'll help your sinuses. And I said, well, I really already do yoga. But he said, you need to go to this place up in Walnut Hills. It's a church, not really a church, but it's kind of a church. And there's there's a really remarkable teacher there. Her name's Pat Barker. And she's a yoga teacher, and she'll help you. So he said, you know, our services are, well, I think at that time it was at 11 o'clock. And he said, you just go and you'll meet her. So I went that following Sunday, and there was hardly any place to sit. It was just so crowded. So I saw Bill Jones, Dr. Jones, over on the right side over here. And so I went over, and there was a seat empty beside him. So I thought, well, there were not very many more seats open, so I'm going to sit here. So I sat down, and about 3 seconds later, he said, would you mind moving up there? Because my wife's going to be here pretty soon, and she's not going to like it. So I did. Anyway, so that was my very first experience with New Thought. And one of the things that I heard, I think the very first thing I heard is Jack Barker said, you have the right and the responsibility to be who you are. And coming from a Baptist church, I certainly hadn't heard that before. So that really impressed me. And I started coming, and I just, I never stopped. And that was in 1977. So I was here after you all came. But anyway, Jack and Pat are just so special, and they helped me through a lot of disasters, I guess you would call 'em. So anyway, I love Jack Barker and I love Pat.
Is Carolyn Wallace here?
Thank you. Jack must have been sending that message. I came in late and I said, oh, I didn't sign up and I want to say something. I came to New Thought Unity because of a book. So if you want to buy a book, it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scoville. And I had purchased that book and given it to just about everybody I knew. And my sister came up to me and said, you know, there's a church in Walnut Hills that they're doing a Wednesday night service on that book you've given everybody. So I went over, and sure enough, Jack was doing this lessons on the game of life and how to play it. And I never went back to my other church. It was always good. I ended up becoming the church administrator, and I have this book, You Can Heal Yourself, and told me what I needed to listen to and read. And when I went to have my surgery, I had shared that book with everybody on the floor, that they needed to read the book and listen to the tape. So I was always on this journey of getting better. I took Bob Arlinghouse class on prosperity. In fact, I had to take it twice, but it was a good class. And I thank you for allowing me to express my love for this family. All right, thank you.
Jeffrey Widener here?
He is not.
He's not here. Okay. Well, with that, we'll have David Kaiser.
No, we're going over a little longer today, but isn't it worth it to hear all these stories and this wonderful thing? My first personal conversation with Jack Barker went like this. I said, Jack, what do you think of the Mormon church? And without missing a beat, he said, it must be a wonderful church. There's so many wonderful people there. And I said, well, what do you think of the Catholic Church? And he said, must be a wonderful church. There's so many wonderful people there. That was one of the greatest sermons I ever got from Jack. It was about the people. It wasn't about their label or the box that they'd been in. And so I was here. I first came and I sat way up in the balcony and then made my way down. Anybody else make that trip? Okay. Yeah, and then I'm a musician, obviously, so I got involved in the music. But the first song I ever wrote was inspired by some of the Course in Miracle classes that were downstairs and Pat taught. And I said, Pat, I wrote a song. And she said, well, let me hear it. So I sat at this piano and played it. And she said, well, why don't you play that for service someday? So this is the first song that I ever played, wrote here for Unity. There's a woman on the hill in a mansion, woman by the river in a shack. They both sit watching the sunset, thinking of their wealth and of their lack. The woman on the hill is surrounded by expensive yet lifeless things. When she closes her eyes, she sees darkness and shudders at the chill the emptiness brings. The same wind blows down the valley, but there it's a warm and gentle breeze. See, the woman by the river is peaceful. When she closes her eyes, she sees everything, light, love, everlasting spring, no lack, no want, no need, everything. What do I see when I close my eyes and think of what I have and how I feel? As daylight fades to sunset, am I rich by the river or poor on the hill? See, the things that I possess are just a shadow of the treasure that lives inside of me, warm and full and peaceful. When I close my eyes, I can see everything, light, love, everlasting spring, no lack, no want, no need, everything. Watch the sunset, feel the breeze, close your eyes and see everything, light, love, everlasting spring, no lack, no want, no need, everything.
We're almost done. One of the Barker's teachers and colleagues at Unity Village was Reverend James Dillett Freeman. One of his most famous poems, I Am There, went to the moon with Apollo 15 astronauts and was read there. In addition to the many poems that Freeman wrote, he wrote a poem entitled Every Man a Minister, which I think is appropriate for this service, for it does, I think, reflect Jack and Pat and the years that they shared with us. And it reads this way: what does it mean to be a minister? It means to make yourself small so that others feel large. It means to make yourself a servant so that others may feel their ministry. It means to give so that those who lack may receive. It means to love so that those who feel unloved may have someone who never rejects them, someone with whom they can always identify themselves. It means to hold out your help to those who ask and deserve it, and also to those who do not ask or deserve it. It means to always be there when you are needed, never to press yourself on another when you're not wanted. It means to stay at peace so that those who are contentious will have someone to whom they can turn to stabilize themselves. It means to keep a cheerful outlook so that those who are easily cast down may have someone to lift them up. It means to keep faith and to keep on keeping faith, even when you find yourself little reason for believing, so that those who have no faith can find the courage to live. It means not merely to live a life of prayer, but to turn your prayers into life. More life for you, more life for those whom you minister to. It means to be God-centered and human-hearted, to involve yourself in humankind's humanity, and to keep your vision on humankind's divinity. and so to draw forth in all around you the human form divine. It means to share in the great moments of people's lives, in birth, and sickness, and marriage, and yes, death. And in all these times, whether of crisis or of celebration, to bring comfort and a blessing, and above all, a sense of presence that sometimes we cannot see, and a meaning that often we overlook. This is what it means to be a minister of God and a minister of humankind. And when I think about Jack and Pat, they demonstrated that 29 and a half years. God bless them.
We're just going to have 3 more shares, and then we're going to sing some of the songs that we sang. Alice and Allison Frazier. Alice are here.
Thank you. I am representing my parents because mother's getting on the good foot. She just had hip surgery. I just left her, and she got a hip replacement. Dad is with her, and so is Allison, and a therapist. And so they're all doing fine. And as we were putting everything together this past week, Mom remembered her first time. It was a wonderful Wednesday service. She came for about 6 months. Of course, Pat notices everything. In a gentle, kind way, she approached her and said, "I think there's something more you may want, so let's have a little talk." They had a little talk. They found that something more. And then that something more was shared with Dad. Dad joined her for Wonderful Wednesdays. What they don't know is they came in '78. Thanks to Dr. Pill Jones, our cousin, I was coming when my parents would go away for their weekend getaways to hang out at the COL church. We were Baptists then. They, after another few months, made this their new spiritual home. It was where they knew they could continue to be grounded spiritually, have the family, then my younger brother and sister, find their grounding. A lot of good times with YOU, with Amy, hosting regional conferences. I miss a house full of other kids. I missed that weekend. They also traveled, thanks to Mary, to YOU, to the Unity Village. And finally, this August, Mom and Dad, because Mom's got a good hip, will get to do the same for their first conference at Unity. So, for those who know Dad, that's Mom's story. Dad's story would be like the theme for today, the ties that bind. He too, like Jack, believed in a good suit when you came to church, along with the tie, and many of you still see it from time to time. Thanks to Maria Sulzer, she shared a tie that would speak so to Dad. It's one about the kids and being inclusive. So Dad wanted to share what the power of a tie is all about. The T is for taking time to be present, because if you don't tie it right, you have to try it again. Second, the I is to inspire and ignite new connections. People may see something and come up to you. Then you get to the E part, the engage and experience a new connection, so that you have the S part, sacred time, sacred connections, the connection with a new soul, and something marvelous is about to happen. And so with that, continue to have the ties that bind. Be like the Fraziers, a family that finds a way to love no matter what.
I was sitting with Carl, and he reminded me someone wrote a song back in the day about Jack's ties, the ties that blind. Anyway, it's been a lot of music around, but there's been poetry here too, and just a few words from our poet laureate of New Thought Unity Center, Bob Hesford.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'm so glad to be here. It has been a joy to share with you through quite a number of years a thing called poetry. I may not recite one right now, but to every first Sunday in December for a number of years, the Barkers invited me to write a Christmas poem. And all of you remember those. And then they grew into more and more and more and more and more. And I'd love to share some right now, but I'm sort of in a haze, as you can tell. I'm just grateful to see all those faces that I remember and always will hold in my heart. Every one of you, you know? And my life's changed. Well, I will share one thing quickly. My grandma snuck away on Wednesday nights when I was a little kid. And I didn't know where she was going until one day she handed me a daily word and the Read Wisdom, which was a book for children. She said, honey, this is the way God wants you to live your life. Okay, Grandma. And when I walked in here, yeah, this is where Grandma went. But that's how it all started with my grandma saying, Bobby, you know, live your life like Unity does. And I have, and I still am, although not able to come as often as I did. And I'm now living in a home with a lot of Catholics, and it's a little different, but you know what? They all adhere to the voice of the poetry that I wrote here. It doesn't stir anything other than light, love, and peace and joy. And that's what I hope it has done for all of you through the years. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here. And I just see so many faces today that I am blessed, truly, truly blessed. Thank you, Pat and Jack, and thank all of you.
Thank you, Bob. And finally, we'd like to invite Amy Barker to come and say a few words from the family.
Thank you. This has been an amazing, amazing tribute to my parents, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and I'm sure how much my mom will enjoy it when we play back the video for her later today and take her the beautiful flowers. So thank you so much. But as I listened to all of you, I thought of a few things. George, my dad did not sleep in his suit. My father had pajama pants to rival his ties. And just so that I could learn that appearances aren't what makes a person, he would wait on the front porch in the morning until my school bus would drive by the front of the house, and then he would walk out in those pajama pants for all of my friends to see. Mary, you remembered how I learned how to drive a manual stick shift, and you will know that my father made me write a report on how manual transmissions work out of the encyclopedia before I was allowed to do that. And that's because, some of you may not know, my father's first career was as an engineer, which is how he could fix the boiler without spending any money. So I thought of this church and all of the years and time that I've spent here and all of the things many of you said today. And Carl, you said the person who introduced you to the church said it was a bit unusual. And David, you talked about a lack of label when you came here. And Betty, you said, somebody said it's a church, but not really a church. And just this week, I was at my book club, and the ladies of my book club were talking about Easter Sunday. Well, what did you do? And one in particular said, I don't do church. Like, I don't do church anymore. My mom, though, she went to this church down in Cincinnati. It was this real hippy-dippy church because they accepted anybody as they were. It's just like anybody could go there and everything was fine. I'm like, what church was that? It was here. So I think one of the reasons that is appeal to everybody is because Unity, and my parents in particular, were DEI before DEI was cool. They walked the walk with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and everyone was welcome in whatever place they were at that time in their life. So Regina said that my parents both lived what they taught. And I think about that, and I think about, I think my mom actually wasn't happy with me about this comment one time. Many years ago, someone asked me, what does Unity believe? So I tried to explain that you're trying to learn how to be a better person all of the time and take the teachings of the Bible or any other book, the teachings of Jesus or any other smart, amazing person, if it can help you learn to be a better person in life. And I thought about that, and I thought, I actually don't know if that's Unity or if that's what my parents taught me. And I never could distinguish between the two, but I think I was supposed to do that better. And the uniqueness of Unity goes to the church and how they select their ministers. And when you look at other religions that many of you said you were raised in, the church decides who the minister is for a congregation. Unity is different in that way, in that the congregation chooses the minister, and the minister gets to decide if they want to work or continue with a particular congregation. So I want to thank all of you for choosing my parents for almost 3 decades, and know how special you all were to them that they chose you for all of that time. So thank you again so much for today. It's very meaningful. I appreciate you remembering my dad in particular, and thank you for being here.
All right, pretend you have a Wings of Song hymnal in your hand. The words are up on the front. Let's sing 2 of the songs that I think embody the teachings of Pat and Jack Barker. I behold the Christ in you. The life of God I see. I can see a great truth too. I can see you whole and free. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this as you walk. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. I behold God's love expressed. I can see you filled with power. I can see you ever blessed. See Christ in you hour by hour. I behold the Christ in you. I can see that perfect one, led by God in all you do. I can see God's work is done. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many in unity and love. We must together, we must together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. And now the Christ in me greets the Christ in me. In one great we must together, we must we must together, we must together in
You can be seated, thank you. Is that time in our service where we do our offertory blessing? So if you would take your tithes and your offerings in your hands and say the offertory blessing with us, we would appreciate that. And our blessing goes like this. Divine love, moving in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. Unity is a praying church, so our chaplain today are Lauren and Susanna, and they'll be over here to pray with you, celebratory, whatever the occasion. So feel free to come pray with the chaplain. Also, if you're giving online, we appreciate that. And we do have a machine in the back. I don't know what it's called, but it's in the back if you want to use your credit card to make an offering to our center also. And also, there are prayer request cards in the back of the pews. You can write your prayer requests, and then there's a prayer box in the back. You can place it there, and someone will get in touch with you. And we also send out all of our prayers to Unity Village, where they pray with you for an additional 30 days. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your gifts.
Our spiritual family abroad is vast. The whole page is done. I usually do names in places where they're from, but Allison, Sarah, Sandra, Marilyn, Randy, James, Connie, Toomey, who is that? Tom, Terrence, Cindy, Marilyn, Jenny, Steve, all around the country, all around this city have been tuned into us today. I just want to take a moment and if you can do your offertory and applaud at the same time, please show your appreciation for George and Nancy Whitman for officiating today. How about Althea and Alice, our wonderful songbirds? We also have Peg Buchanan on the violin. And back in the booth, making us seen and heard all around the world, we have Linda and, let's see, Jean is there, and Skylar as well. Our audiovisual team. I want to offer a special thanks to Terry Armstrong, who all these wonderful, you only saw like a third of the pictures. You have to go downstairs and the slideshow will be running. All of us when we were much younger and had, at least for me, had very different hair, right? Yes. And so, and thanks to everyone else that a lot of research and thought and love and care went into preparing this service today.
And not the least of which, orchestrated by David Kaiser. Let's acknowledge David. going to bless the gifts back here at the mic so you can hear the blessing. So, loving Spirit, we are grateful. Grateful for the opportunity to participate in life with Jack and Pat Barker. They have blessed us immeasurably and created a path for us to follow that enriches our lives and our souls. And so today we acknowledge them for their gift to us and our appreciation to their guidance and leadership. And so for their good and for all the good that is equally everywhere present, truly we are grateful, and we say thank you, Spirit, and amen.
I want to thank everyone for hanging around. I think Jack would be appalled because he always ends pretty much on time. All I say to you, Jack, is your memory was too big for just a regular service. And his voice and Pat's voice and all of that rings in these walls and is here with us forever. I want to thank everyone for coming and joining again in this place that we call home. We stand now and know our prayer for protection. Find a hand to hold as we know our prayer and our peace song. And so we know together, the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is,